Welcome to Innovate Presents Entrepreneurs in Tech. Today, we're delighted to have our guest, Ted Hahs, who is the co-founder and CEO of INNOVAT3. Ted, thank you for joining us today. Could you please start introducing yourself, or by introducing yourself, and providing insights on your tech background and expertise, please?
Well, Bob, it is a pleasure to be on the show. I've enjoyed getting to know you.
Likewise,
And
sir.
yeah, so I'm the founder and CEO of a new social venture. It's a nonprofit called Innovate. In fact, that's how we connected. We stumbled upon the
Yes,
same name, but
absolutely. Innovate with an 8 and innovate with a 3, you are.
yeah. So we're, my background is leveraging technology for social impact. So my background is from the nonprofit sector, and I kind of, as an unintentional entrepreneur, just trying to get stuff done.
Yes.
Um, so I've worked in the Bay Area. I've been based in the Bay Area for my whole career. I'm remarkably well preserved, so I'm older than I look. I'm going to be 54.
Hey,
Just like you.
age only a number.
Age is only a
54 is
number.
the
Yeah,
new
it's like
the new
Bitcoin, right?
34. 54 is
Yeah,
the new 34.
it's just a number. um, and been so our philosophy at Innovate, our logo is let's solve the world's biggest challenges. So the thesis is you look at California, Silicon Valley. We were the center of the technological revolution. We've solved. I mean, here I have a supercomputer on my wrist. This was, I have more computing power in my phone than Bill Clinton did as president. I mean, incredible change. We've changed the world, but yet we're also the leader in homelessness. That's gotten a lot of press. We're the California's at the top of mass incarceration, and with a fail rate of 80%. So 80% recidivism of those who come out of prison. We're one of the leaders, top leaders in human trafficking. Food insecurity in the Bay Area, right here in the Bay Area, food insecurity is 1 out of 4 households,
Wow.
which
Wow.
means it's a complex issue. That's double the national average right here.
For our listeners, sorry, but for our listeners and viewers who might not be familiar with the Bay Area is in California, Los
Yeah,
Angeles,
yeah,
actually.
yeah, yeah.
A
Sorry,
part of Los
Silicon
Angeles.
Valley,
Yeah.
the California,
Yes.
the San Francisco Bay
Let's go.
Area. Yeah, sorry, we're
Yes.
used to saying that. Anyways,
Yes.
we have all these social challenges, yet we've innovated so much in these other area. So I believe the next big frontier is leveraging these technological advances and also the innovation, the way we think to get those advances, and bringing them into the social services sector and seeing incredible creativity and solving real problems. So that's what we're working at with Innovate. We're very excited about the potential of AI and of blockchain technology, and we're partnering with blockchain. Geo is a blockchain technology company. They're building a browser right now that will be a knowledge graph, which is, I believe, Web 3 is going to completely disrupt Web 2 and replace our current technological communication infrastructure, and really bring the web back to what it was intended to be. And so that's a little introduction to my.
Amazing. Amazing. So basically, put in a nutshell, you using technology and advancement in technology and for good, for humanity, to help.
Absolutely, yeah,
You're not
yeah.
looking at the bottom line. You're looking at human lives. How can we help
Well,
and advance
yeah,
humanity?
you got to
Yes.
look at the bottom line.
Yes.
I mean, the
Yes.
whole, yes, but it's having multiple bottom lines or really
Yes.
understanding what the true bottom line is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yes, that's what I meant exactly. So, Ted, your background is art. So you come from an art background and athletics,
Yeah,
and
yeah. My
you became a
major.
social entrepreneur. So tell us, connect the dots for us,
Well, actually,
please.
in college, my undergrad was mathematics. So,
Uh
and I
huh.
was studying neural networks with one of the leading edge guys, Dr. Steinman. I mean, he's not famous, but he was at Jet Propulsion Laboratories. Like, this is way back over 30 years ago. So I
Yeah.
graduated in '92. But then, I'm quite tall. If you see me in person, I'm 6'9". Um,
Amazing.
that's how I paid my way through college, playing basketball. So when I graduated, I went to Portugal and had an opportunity to play professionally there. So I played for a couple of years professionally for the Portuguese league, and
Nice.
you know, uh, there that was the midst. Portugal was experiencing the worst heroin epidemic in Western history. So it was kind of like it's comparable to, the it was zombie land there. Massive
Hmm.
numbers of people just addicted, um, and I got thrown into that. I'm a person of faith. I've always wanted to give back. I feel like I've been very blessed, and we were just thrown into the midst of it, trying to help and cutting our teeth there. That's also where I'm a self-taught artist, so
Mm.
I I've always drawn and stuff, and I'm playing professionally. I'm in Europe. Lisbon is a gorgeous Porto. The food, the wine, the culture is just beautiful. So,
The food. I heard the food is amazing
all the food's
in
the
Lisbon.
best. I mean, me
Yes.
personally, the French know how to talk, but the Portuguese know how to do it. But they're like the hobbits. They don't care. All they want to do is eat. Like, they don't care about evangelizing the world about how good their food is. Of course, I'm biased. My wife is Portuguese, so Uh, here, yeah,
Uh-huh.
there's
So you went there and
Portuguese.
you got
See that
hitched.
right
You
there? That's
went there
one
and
of
you
my
got hitched.
paintings.
Yes. Who's
That's a
that?
guy in Porto,
Uh-huh.
and I picked up, plus playing professionally, I had a lot of free time. It was beautiful. So I started painting, and I was graced. One of the players on my team, his father was an art dealer, had an art studio, and he took a liking to me, took me under his wing, and so I launched this art career. So I was playing basketball and painting and using that to make social impact. So that's how I started cutting my teeth. I didn't know. I mean, I started basically an art business, a fine art business, partnering with him. Then I brought other artists in. I didn't know that was called entrepreneurship. Didn't learn that till 25 years later. Oh, that's what that's called.
Interesting. Ted, what inspired you and got you motivated to start Innovate 3 with its unique approach that really focuses and addresses major global issues such as homelessness, human trafficking, hunger, and other major issues that, not really kind of addressed by entrepreneurs who kind of want to get into the tech business?
Well, I see the entrepreneurs. I actually think the entrepreneurs resonate with this mission, and I think a lot of them see it. People are really wanting to make a impact. Now they don't really know how to do it necessarily, but
Yes.
like when I'm talking about homelessness in San Francisco, I mean, it's apocalypse, it's zombie land here, and it's lots and lots of people. So that's one of the benefits of a problem getting bad enough. It motivates you to do the things that you need to do to solve it. So I don't think I'm unique yet. I believe Innovate really feels like my life's work all coming together right now. And I've seen such, system design theory. A system is ideally designed to produce exactly the results it's producing, whether that's been intentionally designed or whether it's been designed by evolutionary iteration.
Hmm.
There's a systemic issue, which is why we have such apocalyptic negative outcomes as far as homelessness. And homelessness is just one manifestation of all these problems I mentioned are all interconnected, like the reentry population, the justice involved, foster care. Foster care leads to prison. You get out of prison, you get homeless, you go back in. It's really, you describe it as systemic poverty.
Wow.
What
What a
but in the
depressing thing.
midst of this negative system, I mean, I can talk on and on and on and introduce you to guests who are doing amazing, amazing, innovative work. But it's right now, it's more niche and boutique almost because they're battling the systemic issues. And so it's both the inspiration, like I'm deeply driven by, I believe in humanity. I'm pro-human. I want, the joy that I get. I play basketball inside prison. that's changed my worldview. Some of my closest friends I've met in prison. I joke about I've been in and out of prison for 18 years. I haven't been incarcerated by God's grace, but I've been going in playing basketball. And the
Wow.
relationships I build are some of my closest relationships. And it changes the way you think. And you're like, wow, this is not just, they've done some bad things, but you and I don't want to be known by the worst thing we've done. That's for sure. We've all done bad things. There's so much more than that. And to see the redemption and the transformation and then the perspective that that gives you,
Mhm.
all this to say is really, I see an opportunity. Like, we've innovated and we've solved all these problems and we've done things that everyone said was impossible. And now we're doing them and now they're normal, and now we're, going into space is normal and we're dreaming about putting a colony on Mars. It's like, well, what about, right? What about solving these issues? I think now is the time. And so the opportunity, now there's more and more technologists that are thinking outside the box and want to leverage this to make the world better and to solve these issues, and then to bring them together with the subject matter experts that are doing innovative work. That's where the magic happens. And if you can get the whole community together and aligned around a vision and collaborating rather than trying to compete, and
Mhm.
um, it's really, it's the hope. And having seen that happen and wanting to replicate that and knowing, like, I believe we can do it. I believe that in my generation, let's schedule a time 20 years from now. You and I, we'll get our walkers, we'll get on this Zoom call,
Why
and
does
we'll
it have to
talk
be
about,
walkers? I'm not going to use any
yeah,
walkers.
yeah, joking. Okay, well, you're right. Yeah, 20 years. Oh no, I won't be in a walker. Okay, so
Come on,
50
man.
years from now, we're 100. Okay, 110, and we're going to get together and we're going to talk and we're going to talk and we're going to educate our great grandkids about homelessness. And they go, what's homelessness? And then we're going to educate them about mass incarceration and say, oh yeah, there's this place in Marin County. Marin County, that's one of the most beautiful places. Yeah, yeah, you go here. And San Quentin, oh, that's beautiful. Oh, there's a museum there that tells you about mass incarceration. Oh, that high end, educational institution that used to be a prison. What's a prison? This is what a prison. You used to lock people up forever. Like, why did you do that? Like, why didn't you? I believe we can solve these issues, and we'll have to look back at them. They'll exist in the history books. So, really, what inspired me? It's the potential that's there.
Interesting. Very interesting approach and outlook. Um, you know, let's say, can you break down the how geo fits into Innovate 3
I was going to ask you to ask me that question.
and helps
Um,
achieve your goals?
the internet was intended to be a public resource,
Hmm.
basically a knowledge graph, and like roads and stuff, and everyone can use them, and trucks can go on them, delivery cars, humans, you can
Yeah.
walk, you can ride on the side. That's what they was intended. That was web, that was the promise of Web 1. Then Web 2 came along, and private corporations that have now grown to be the biggest corporations that humanity has ever seen, bigger than many nations. Okay.
Yes. Correct.
They came alongside and they provided a smoother user interface, but at the expense of, it doesn't belong to the people anymore. It belongs to these private organizations, and they're, everything about them is optimized for the best interests of the private organization, not for the people. And now you have all these problems with it, of fake news. um, it's a ghetto liquor store in, interacting, you're bombarded with ads. You have robots now involved that are optimizing they're basically exploiting you for, they have psychologists involved to get you addicted to social media, Web 2, and to interaction, to exploit you for your short-term attention, to try to sell ads to you. So now you look at the whole infrastructure, our whole communication infrastructure, whether it's internet, whether it's any social media platform, or whether it's so-called traditional news, which doesn't really exist anymore. That's evolved. It's devolved into this. It motivates and incentivizes tribalism. So
Yeah.
speaking, very few people speak across to each other. They're leveraging the other person to speak to a small base to have extreme views to infuriate them further to get them to take some sort of action, whether that's political action or buying their product or giving them their eyeballs or whatever. And it's deteriorating our mental health. It's That's what Web 2 has evolved to. Geo's vision now is to build a Web3 infrastructure. Yaniv Tal, who is the founder of Geo, is the inventor, one of the top inventors of the graph. He's part of Edge and Node. So that's a huge Web3 success story. The graph is a indexing protocol.
Hmm.
So you can search all the public data on the blockchain,
Yes.
and it's interoperable with many blockchains. That was, you need to build an indexing protocol. Google built a search engine before anything else. Well, before you can have a search engine, you need an indexing protocol. They built the indexing protocol, so now Geo is the browser built, the next iteration of that. It's all open source. It's all web. It's not open source. It's all decentralized. And the vision is to build a knowledge graph that, I mean, you think of the counterexample of all the negative things that we know about social media. The
Yeah.
counterexample is, in no matter how polarized people are, we all agree that Wikipedia is a shared source of truth because it's transparent and it's all there. But now Wikipedia doesn't operate in real time and it's only encyclopedic knowledge. But it's
Correct.
taking that type of ethos, if we could apply it to all of human knowledge, and have it in real time, so it's very clear what the claims, whatever claims that person is making, what claims are, what field do they come from, what are what's the worldview and the assumptions behind those claims, but then what are the evidence and the arguments for and against. And if it's all transparent,
Mm.
and now imagine if it's operating in real time, it'll be a tool for communities to come to consensus, so that now that empowers collaboration. So that's what Geo is doing. And Geo, I agree with him. I'm partnering deeply with him. If you have whatever problem it is, let's take the example of homelessness, for
Yeah.
example. You have homelessness now in America, especially, you have an underlying issue of, we love to fight. Americans love to fight, and we're fighting over it. We spend all our energy fighting the battle of policies, and the policies that we implement to address homelessness are made by policymakers whose incentives are different than the stated incentives of the policymakers. Of the policy itself. The policymakers' incentives are to get elected,
Hmm.
to get votes, and to get money to be reelected. That's the name of the game, and the people who are good at that game win that game and get elected. Okay, so you have this underlying, but that's different than, they don't win directly from their policies working. They win on spinning that their policies work or whatever. It's a disconnection. So you have this underlying communication problem. We're all arguing over ideology. We can't even agree. There's no transparency to it. So we never even get around to solving this problem. We just propagate status quo, and we spend more and more money and don't get anywhere. I used homelessness as an example. You can go across the board. Okay, we're fighting communicating wise, and we're arguing and yelling at each other, and we're not in a mindset to even process. Okay, you take the counter example. So if we can solve that underlying problem, it will unlock unlimited potential to solve any problem. Okay, that's so Geo wants to prove this model out by, if we can solve homelessness in the Bay Area, that will be proof of concept and we'll get the world's attention. So the counter example is, think of after Katrina,
Hmm.
you had devastation, but it's so sad that it takes a calamity like that to bring out the best in Americans. But you had people from Burning Man, you had people from far right Trumpers, you had, deeply religious people who are, never going to go to a church, that are very progressive, very different, all coming together, just ascending on the place, not caring who gets credit, just trying to rebuild it. And, I had some of my very far right wing friends come back and they had met guys from Burning Man. I'm like, you actually talked to that guy and didn't get in a fist fight? Like, how did that ever happen? And they had deep relations because they're friends for life. I'm like, wow, something incredible is happening because no one's trying to compete. We're collaborating together and we have a common vision and we're not worrying about who gets credit. We're all working together. America accomplishes incredible things.
Hmm.
If we can create a communication platform to empower that, man, the sky's the limit. We can unlock incredible human potential. So that's what Geo is all about, and that's how we partner together. So I'm really about kind of the software, the ideas, the people,
Hmm.
particularly my strength. What I'm bringing
Yes.
to the table is a wealth of relationships with incredible innovators in the area of social services that are getting amazing results. And now Geo and us together, Geo is creating the technological infrastructure to
Yes.
empower these people to succeed and to bring transparency to the overall system so that we can bring reform, meaningful reform where it's needed. Okay. So that's how we're working together.
Um, let's talk about you're also part of you co-founded another platform, a
Yeah, I'm
company,
co-founder of a
Attention
startup called
dot live.
Attention Live.
Yes.
Attention Live.
Yes.
ATTN dot
Dot live.
live.
Yes.
LIVE. Yes, that is a communication tool. It's for content creators, and it allows you to go live with audio content
Hmm.
and visual content, and mint it on
Mm.
the blockchain.
The
So
blockchain. Yes.
certifies your ownership. Um, and then gives you tools to automate the whole monetization and distribution of that
And
content.
ATTN dot live. Is it live
ATTN
dot
dot
live?
live.
Is it live?
Yeah, we're in beta right now. So
Uh,
if you listen to this, you can go and sign up and get an account and start using it. And we're going to go to market, kind of have our official launch in. Do you know that the Philippines has the highest per capita MetaMask wallets?
wow. The
They're an
highest.
early adapter of Web3.
Amazing.
They're kind of the highest per capita. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's a lot of reasons for that. Anyways, they've been early adapters of it. And we have, my co-founder is splitting his time. Well, the founder, I'm a co-founder. He's the founder and there's three of us co-founders. Um, and he's over there right now. And in September, we're going to have a big event there, and we have a lot of young influencers who have quite a bunch of reach there in Manila and throughout the Philippines. Yeah.
What type of content that will be on ATTN dot live? Attention live dot live.
Well, it's the easiest way. It's like audio content, and you can also have visual content. So, like just last night, I uploaded I showed some of my art. I now do digital art, and I'll do combination, you know, oil paintings,
Hmm.
AI, and digital art that I all multimedia that I mix together. And then I use Attention Live to then make a social commentary that goes with that piece of art, and I mint it in a very easy um, process. The last series I've been working on is some of the street photos I took in Portugal,
Yeah.
and just sharing, what's behind them. And it's a very easy tool to mint them. So those are all on the on I mint. They're all on OpenSea. You can
Hmm.
go to OpenSea Ted Hahs and see my art collection there. And so um, eventually it'll also be video, but video is very challenging with the blockchain just because of the size of it.
Yes.
So it's audio and images that you can mint together.
Very advanced. Extremely.
And
How? Yes.
integrate it with AI so that now, I mean, voice voice is where, human voice is the ultimate interface. Okay.
Yes.
Like even when Elon Musk or whosoever solves the whole brain interface thing, and you shove your brain is acting directly with the computer,
Yeah.
you're still going to use language because you need language to think. So it organizes our thoughts. The 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 totality of human knowledge is in our language.
Mhm.
So, we built this around envisioning the future
Mhm.
when artificial intelligence, which is a whole different discussion. Is it artificial intelligence, or is it augmentation of human intelligence, or is it both? Okay, like
Mhm.
right now, Chat GPT, it's amazing what it can do, but it's not really creating new things. It's a very smooth and new way to interface with the totality of human knowledge. So you're really talking to all the experts in the field in that area when you're talking to Chat GPT. The
Mhm.
same thing with images. It's conglomerating everything that humans have created and then distilling them down. So it's just two different ways of looking at it. But as we project into the future, as the robots get better and better at doing things, what are humans going to do?
Got it.
And we believe the optimistic future is us interacting with them and unlocking greater human potential. So, yeah.
Um, how does your work with Love Never Fails and volunteering with San Quentin also Warriors shape your whole uh, kind of vision and approach to Innovate 3?
Okay. It's this convergence
Yes.
of one, you're also an athlete, you're a sport guy, you're into CrossFit. You know how deeply it makes you feel that intense workout. You also
Yes.
know how you build your closest relationships. You go work out with someone, you guys just bond.
Yes.
Doing that inside prison, I can tell you, I played professionally. I got to play against the NBA players. When I was in college, I was in a smaller college, and but I would go play
Mhm.
with them
Mhm.
at UCLA during, particularly the summer after I graduated. I played professionally. I've played a lot of places. I can tell you the funnest, most fulfilling place by far that I've ever played is inside San Quentin prison.
Wow.
And it changes the way you look out on reality. Like, instead of seeing a bunch of thugs that deserve what they're getting, one, you start to hear your stories and it's life changing. And you think, man, if I had been in there, I don't think I'd be doing anywhere near as well as they are when you realize what they went through. And then just realizing that they're people and the
Yes.
stories, and then also seeing the power of our program. Like, wow. So it's like when I think about people being transformed and share it with you, like, it's second nature. I know it. I mean, they're all my friends, and like, we've been doing this for 20 years. Quite a few of the guys have gotten out, and we've been able to build community on the outside, um, as well. So we're keeping track of them. We haven't done an official study. I just, want to be honest, transparent about that. But we are not aware of a single guy who's back in prison because of a repeat offense after he's gotten out who's been part of our program.
Wow.
And there's lots of reasons for that. Now they're starting to study it. They're calling it game. They're calling it sports therapy. Like, therapy is very good, especially competitive sports. It makes you, become part of a community. It teaches you empathy and, collaboration around a common goal. You got to put your team first over yourself,
Yes.
and you do it in a high pressure environment. Also, the power of physical exercise to heal your body of trauma. Like, all this science is kind of, we've just doing this intuitively. Now the science is catching up with things we've been doing for over 20 years.
Hmm.
Um, but like, so Love Never Fails. Part of the thing they do, like, the founder of Never Fails, my dear friend Vanessa Russell. She's a former sales executive with Salesforce.
Yes.
No, with Cisco. Sorry. So a minority woman, that was already an outlier. She was one of the first. Then she got introduced to the horrible world of human trafficking through a girl of hers who she was teaching dance in the ghetto. She went missing, and then
Hmm.
4 months later, when she reconnected with her, she learned she'd been raped and trafficked all across Oakland and the Bay Area, and
Mm.
just it was a life-changing experience for her. And she said she had to help, and just started helping that one. But we have an IT Biz Academy. So we train. Originally, the idea was to train the survivors so they can get a good job so they're no longer vulnerable.
Yes.
What we realized is don't just train the survivors, train people who are at risk before they are vulnerable. And so this is growing, and there's huge potential there. Okay. And training them in tech jobs. And we do what's called trauma informed training. And we specialize in the first, there's different certifications. We specialize in the first level certification because once they pass that, they can integrate in wherever else you go.
Yeah.
Okay. It's seeing again the convergence. This is not just the right thing to do because everyone talks about wanting to help minorities. I can tell you there's a lot of talk and there needs to be more action. Very few. It's very difficult to actually do it. Okay, Vanessa is
Yes.
doing an incredible job. But it's not only is it the right thing to do, for Silicon Valley to remain Silicon Valley, we have to have a pool of talented people to fulfill. Okay. This is a pool, an untapped pool of extremely talented people that look at things differently. And again, we found that our people,
Hmm.
survivors of trauma, and not just our people in general from similar programs, survivors of trauma, for example, are better at cybersecurity than the general population.
Mm.
So you're unlocking these incredible gems that are not
Yes.
on a path to Stanford, but they're just as clever. Because if you're our age and you were born in East Oakland and you're a clever entrepreneur, you're not going to end up at Stanford. You're going to end up selling drugs because that's the opportunities in front of you.
Got
Anyways,
it.
they outperform the general population at cybersecurity.
Wow.
So that's just one example. And I believe I could go across the board of similar examples where this is an opportunity that is not just the right thing to do, it makes incredible business sense to invest in them to find, to solve problems, get richer perspective, get vibrant, powerful employees.
Amazing. What have been some of the most fulfilling moments in your career? As a social entrepreneur.
Well, I can tell you one of the recent ones. We were in San Quentin prison.
Yes.
And then, this is a faith-based group. We're inclusive for whoever, but the leaders are faith-based.
Yeah.
And so, we connect with the guys and we share an inspiring story at halftime. But the things evolved, and one of my dear friends, Brian, who
Hmm.
was incarcerated at the time and was the general manager inside of the whole program. It's run entirely by the prisoners, by the
Hmm.
incarcerated individuals. He said, "Yeah, you guys share. That's great. We're also going to share." So now, we share, and somebody inside you. So just a couple Saturdays ago, one of the young men just turned 23. So he's a young guy. He's younger than my older son.
Wow.
And he's new to the program. And here was his story. Um, when he first came in, you know, he was full of himself. But then the coach yanked him out of one of the games, and and he let everybody know with his body language and all that, and probably kicked a chair or something like that. And then he went back to his cell and pouted. Then his cellmate, who's also part of the program, came to him and encouraged him and said, "Listen, we all had to go through this. Just stick it out. You're going to win your place." But then his cellmate, who was wise, smart, goes to the coach, who's also another incarcerated individual. This is all from the inside. Okay, we
Wow.
come in and play with them, but they run the
Yes.
whole thing. Okay, says, "Don't play him the next game." Okay, he's got to learn his lesson. So the next game, the coach sits him out, and he's furious.
Yeah.
Then he finds out it's his cellmate who he had confided in, who he thought was on his side, who had told him how to do it, had told him to do it. He was so ticked. He said, "But I had to learn, man. I was acting like a little bitch. I wasn't dealing like this like a man. I had to grow up. So then when we
Yeah.
talked, I understood that they believed in me. They knew I had game. But if I'm a basketball's a team sport, this is a
Yes.
team program. If I can't make the team better, and if I'm putting my own interests above the team, I have no place in this program. So he's just sharing it raw. He's just a young guy. And I was like, but it hit me at that time because I connected the dots. I'm like, he just articulated the power of this program. And I did the mathematical thing, like over 20 years, I mean, hey, someone from Stanford, you're seeing this, reach out to me, or another
Yes.
university, Pepperdine. I want to do an official academic study to validate this over our program and other similar programs to show the success rate. But over 20 years. So this is this is statistically significant. It's not just an aberration. There's enough numbers. We're not aware of a single guy who's returned. That's compared to 80% in the general population.
This
So
is
the
real
average,
results. Real results.
these are
Yeah.
real results.
Yes.
So that means mathematically that the guys in the program who stick in the program and stay it, their trajectory going forward is they're at very low risk of returning. Their mathematical trajectory would be the same as the past. Okay, that's how
Yes.
you predict those things. It all went together, and he just articulated the power of this program. Teaches him empathy, gets him outside of himself. It gets a community of mentorship. It's a safe place where his issues that he's got to deal with, his fatherlessness, which is heartbreaking, man. I mean, it's like like growing up, like the trauma that they've been through.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But
Absolutely.
then, it's not about making excuses for the trauma. It's like understanding that to raise them up to another level that's now challenging them to another level. Plus, you can say anything, talk is cheap, but I had watched this transformation. I had seen his attitude, and now I'd seen it in the last game, and I'm like, oh, this guy's changed. And it just put the dots together, and I'm like, man, it was quite a moving, like,
Moment. Yes.
moving
Yes.
moment. Yeah.
Yes. Are you
Motivates me to
generally,
keep it up.
Ted, are you generally optimistic or pessimistic about the future?
Oh, I have this core deep, optimism.
Yes.
But have you ever read the book Good to Great?
Good to great. No, I have not.
Oh, it's a classic. Oh, you need to read it. Okay, it's a study on companies that, like, I think like one of them might be IBM, that and comparing them to others that were their peers.
Yeah.
But the great company took an extraordinary for being good to being one of a world leader, and it compares them to their peers who are also in a stronger position. But then now we've never heard of them. And what did they do? And it was an empirical study, so it upended all the established dogma. But he talks about what he coined a new term, the
Hmm.
author. He called it level 5 leaders.
Hmm.
And he says level 5, and he uses an example as General Wainwright, the general that got left behind and was in the prison internment camps in Japan until
Mm.
you
Yes.
know and not only was he able to survive this horrible torture, this horrible ordeal, he was able to never lose he advocated, he acted as a senior officer, and advocated for better treatment of the others, overcame the worst adversity in the greatest way. And they asked him, um, what empowered him. He says, I never doubted the ultimate outcome, that this would be that I would overcome, I'd get out of this, I'd overcome, and it'd be the defining moment of my life. It's okay. Who are the ones who didn't make it? And he said, that's easy, the optimists.
Hmm.
The optimist says we'll be out by December. By Christmas comes and goes. It's okay, we'll be out by Easter. Easter comes and goes. They break, their spirit breaks, they can't handle it. And the premise he was making is that these great leaders had this combination of undying optimism, but with stark reality. Like, they look truth in the face, they don't turn away from it, and they embrace it.
Hmm.
That's what I aspire to.
Accepting
So,
the
like,
truth, accepting reality. Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
So Like when I look at all the problems in our nation, I
Yeah.
say, well, as goes California, so goes the nation. San Francisco has them in a microcosm and it's off the charts. And I've been here for a long time. Like when we
Yeah.
first came here, I live in South San Jose, so an hour away from San Francisco. Driving up to San Francisco was, wow, we're in a whole nother world and it's zombie land, like all the homeless.
Wow.
Now it's not just that neighborhood, it's all across and it's right down the street. Like,
Unbelievable.
it's that actually gives me optimism because I'm like, this problem is so bad. I'm seeing conversations and a willingness to make a difference and to get involved that I never saw before. So I think humanity is facing some of our biggest challenges.
Yes.
But yes, I'm optimistic. I believe we're going to overcome them. We're going to face them. It's going to be bumpy road, but we're going to overcome it. It's going to usher in the greatest period of human flourishing ever. And also you got to have, I'm a student of history. Like, guys, you got to be grateful, and you got to travel the world a little bit. Like if you start getting depressed about America, like I call it my immigrant friends from Africa, like on the 4th of July, they're objective. They know American politics are silly, but they are so grateful because they know what it could be like. And they are just like,
Yes. Yes.
one of my friends he's doing amazing work helping the poor, and he's going through some super challenging times.
Mhm.
And he was looking at the immigration issue that gets everyone up in airs, and showed with me the path that these people are taking. So we live in
Yes.
America. Most countries are putting up walls to keep their citizens in. We're talking about putting up walls to keep people out. Everyone wants to be here. So, he was using that to put his problems in perspective. Like there's people going through a hair-raising 40-day walk with their infant young children to
Yes.
just
Just to
get
get here.
within 3,000 miles of getting here. Like,
Yes.
we've got to be grateful. We got to keep that in perspective. So the short answer is yes, I'm very optimistic, but I'm also looking the beast in the face and saying, let's partner together. Let's solve it.
Yes. Um, Looking back at your journey, what your top advice for young entrepreneurs who try to carve their way into this abyss?
It'd be the same thing that I'm learning in fitness.
Yes.
Vanity only gets me so far. Like, if I work out for beach muscles, it's not sustainable. But if I work out for something bigger, I've been able to sustain that. So metaphorically, I'd say the same thing to entrepreneurs. Find your true north. Like for me, when I find something that I look forward and say,
Hmm.
if I dedicate myself 5, 6, I mean, we were at ATTN.LIVE. I think it was 6 brutal years and
Hmm.
lots and lots and
Yes.
lots of no's until we finally got
Yes.
our,
Yeah.
I guess you could call it seed investment. We're kind of outside of the box. Like we're not made it yet. We
Yes.
haven't even succeeded yet. It had to get this far to have the level of stability we have now. It's been brutal. Okay.
Yes.
When I find something to
Uh,
say, I'd be willing to endure all that, even if I fail, because what I'm achieving, I would be happier to try and give my best and fail than to say I never tried. That's where you tap into your superpower. So find out what you're called to, what you're passionate about, what you do, whether or not they give you money, and you got to make money or you don't. And then if you pursue that, you'll have a competitive advantage against everybody else. And then along with that, learn how to get comfortable getting hit in the balls. Like, that's what entrepreneurship is getting kicked in the balls and getting up
yes.
again to get ready to
And
get
keep
kicked in the
smiling.
balls again, man. It's tough.
Yes. Um, Anything to be on the lookout for our viewers and listeners for Innovate3 and ATTN.live, attention.live. Is there
Oh,
anything that
attention live
would
right now. Go to the be on the lookout for it right now. Go get beta. Like it's not going to be free forever, but you test it out. Maybe send us a little. Tell us. Experiment with us with it. It's
Mhm.
really really fun to see how users, particularly these young creative people in Southeast Asia, are using it and telling us ways we figured we'd be surprised with it. So that's one thing. The Attention Live launch, it's going to happen in August. I turned 54. I celebrate 20 years of marriage to the same woman.
Happy
Just
birthday and
one,
happy anniversary.
so, and then shortly after that, we're going to launch. Check out Geo. Geo is going to have its official launch. I'm really excited about that. They're going to launch, and then Innovate's going to launch after that. I'm really
Lovely.
excited about that and that whole community. Um, you know, Blockchain and AI and those that are at the convergence of those two, it's an exciting field.
Well, mixed reality will join, which is the metaverse.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be, yes,
Yeah, I'm very
all,
excited about the health space too. Like we're learning
yes,
so much. I talked about all the science about healing of trauma, and really those are just very extreme cases of stuff we're all learning. I mean, I think these dystopian worlds where everyone's fat and sitting internally living in alternate reality. I don't think that's where the world wants to go. I think the world wants to be empowered. It wants to be healthy. It wants tech that's going to find optimal human health and reverse engineer and align everything that way. And I think this season where we've invented social media and technology that is very bad for our mental health is destroying our children's mental health. And it's so
it is,
addictive, it's
absolutely
so
is.
bad. I think this is an aberration, and those that move to the correction of it are going to win the space. That's what I'm excited about as well.
Well, amazing, amazing. Ted, it has been a great, great interview. Totally, extremely insightful. I definitely
Oh,
enjoyed
I
it.
enjoyed it.
And I'm
You
sure
put
our
it into
listeners and
yours.
viewers, thank you,
You got a
sir.
great
And I'm
haircut.
sure yes,
Oh, hey,
yes,
shout out to Ear
yes,
Hustle. These are my
yes.
friends
Shout out to Ear Hustle.
inside San
Yes,
Quentin Prison. That there's award-winning
yes.
podcast, and I got their T-shirt, so they're my friends. I'm not involved in
Amazing.
it, but I know
Good
them.
luck to them. Good luck to everybody that who objective in life is to go on the right path
Yeah,
and spread positivity. Absolutely.
well
And
said.
knowledge. Now consume knowledge.
Yeah.
Knowledge. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is wealth. Well, I want to say thank you for joining us today, Ted, and on Innovate Presents Entrepreneurs in Tech. And be sure to connect with us on social media. Until next time, keep innovating and stay curious. Take care. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to share Innovate Presents Entrepreneurs in Tech podcast. And if you're joining us on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time.